What does the entire Fate Zero franchise have in common with Banoka Magica? What does Death Note, a series about writing someone's name to kill them, have in common with a series about creating a manga to impress his childhood crush? What does Clannad, Angel Beats, and Charlotte all have in common? Well, what if I tell you that they all share the same creator? You heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. Your favorite anime might have been written by the same person, and you didn't know it. Like, what do you mean your two favorite romance this year were created by Kocha Akasawa? Like, what do you mean this mecha anime created Kill la Kill, which is basically clothing mecha? Sometimes it's very subtle, like you don't even know that they were created by the same person, or sometimes they're very much in front of your eyes. For example, Mob Psycho and One Punch Man literally have the same character design. But for me, and maybe most of you guys, have you ever watched an anime and say, oh, this kind of feels familiar. This feeling that I'm having is something I felt with another anime. This happened to me a few days ago. I watched Charlotte years ago on YouTube because I saw one of the main characters going to the Philippines. And I swear that was the first time I ever cried watching an anime. Then fast forward years ago in middle school, I was somehow blessed with watching Angel Beats for the first time. One of my favorite anime of all time. It's not until I was watching Clannad a few days ago that I felt a sort of feeling that these three anime are somehow connected, because I was getting the same feeling that I was watching those animes back then. And I'm not bullshitting here, people. I'm not trying to pull your pants. I'm not trying to be LeBron James and lie to my loyal fans. I genuinely felt that these three anime were somehow the same. And Lord to behold, they were all written by the same person, Jun Maeda. He's known to popularize the crying game genre with Clannad and all the other visual novels he wrote back then. And after that, he made Angel Beats in 2010 and Charlotte in 2015. The craziness of me watching Charlotte in elementary, Angel Beats in high school, and now Clannad in college, and I still felt the same feeling when I was watching, all the way back then. I can't explain this phenomenon. I literally can't. Somehow I managed to have the same nostalgic feeling to recognize that these anime are somehow the same. And this is what I want you guys to experience as well. Subscribe, like, support small creators like me, and fuck Jack. This video was originally written to be a list, listing down all the anime that were written by the same person, but I think that's the boring answer of all of this. That was gonna be a boring video, just list upon list upon list. I don't want that to be this video. Because like I told you with Jun Maeda, it's not only that they're written by the same person, it's that their work is somehow connected or influenced by different aspects of their previous work. The dialogue, the comedy, the story, the lessons, and especially the themes. You can change the art style and genre, but sometimes your creativity has their limits, in a good way. Even if you made a successful manga, there are still rooms to be made to bring your story to the next level. And while researching this video, I noticed a pattern between all the other authors who went forward and created more pieces of work. They were somehow motivated by one singular factor: regret. We all have one of those days where we remember something embarrassing in our past, whenever that's getting rejected by your crush and letting her slap you in the face, or falling in love with an emo girl who has a boyfriend in college because she plays basketball. Whatever your regrets in life, I'm sure you might be thinking, oh, what if I would have done something different? What if I just do this and do that? That is the same mentality most authors went in. Hiro Mashima, Yoshiro Togashi, and Aka Akasaka. They each regretted something while making their previous work, despite their series being already highly successful. Why? Because of regret. And one of my favorite examples for this is Atsushi Okobo, the creator of Soul Eater and Fire Force. Soul Eater was insanely popular and successful, with it at the time being the 7th best-selling manga in Japan. Thousands of different authors would have sold their left ballsack just to be where Okobo was at the time. He could have just retired and still would have kept profiting, but Atsushi Okobo said no. He saw the mistakes and struggles he had when making Soul Eater, and he significantly improved on them when making Fire Force. Process of world building became better. The symbolism became better. Okobo had the entire Fire Force story already planned out. In the beginning, Okobo had the concept of Fire Force already written down, but he made Soul Eater to build confidence and experience to actually adapt his work. So in a way, Soul Eater made Fire Force better. We can't exactly go back to the time and place that our regret happened. We can only learn from them and improve on that in the future, and that they did. Another great example is Hiro Mashima, the creator of Rave Master and Fairy Tail. Hiro Mashima regretted making Rave Master. Looking back, he felt like the story was so much darker than what he originally envisioned to be. In Rave Master, he actually pre-planned the story beforehand, which you might think would lead to a much better story. But sometimes that is not the case. The story got a little too out of hand from what he originally wanted. Too many character deaths, too many sad stories, too many complex storylines, leading to Rave Master's tragic end with the main character dying and the heroine losing her memories. And of course, many fans felt like they were betrayed, sending all the hate to Hiro Mashima, even death threats because of how the ending was handled. It got so severe that he wrote an extra chapter to retcon everything that happened in the final chapter, turning the shocking finale to a generic happy ending where everybody goes home hands down. And this controversy was so shocking to Hiro Mashima that he changed his entire approach to storytelling as a whole. Rave Master features 7 notable character deaths to advance the plot, including the main character. Fairy Tail, almost none of them die. You could point towards a lot of characters to move the story, but all of them are kind of restricted only to backstories and not actual important moments in the story. And again, this is not a knock on Fairy Tail because trust me, I am the biggest Fairy Tail fan and I know Fairy Tail's specialty is fake out deaths, which is why it's kind of like a revelation or like shocking to me that it was actually meant that way. It was supposed to be that way. Hiro Mashima was so scared by what he done with Rave Master that he vowed to ensure that no main characters were going to die ever again to avoid upsetting readers and repeating the same mistakes he did with Rave Master. His next series was going to be fun, full of life, adventure, and friendship. Without Rave Master and Hiro Mashima's traumatic experience, we would have never gotten such an influential anime of our time. And this happens very often when making many grades of fiction. Now, we talked about creators learning from their mistakes. We talked about creators fixing their regrets. What if your previous work led directly to you making your next work? Because if I ask you what manga did the Death Note creator make after Death Note, you will probably say Platinum End. And well, you are wrong. But before the monsters took his power away to write a good story, creator of Death Note Tsugumi Oba and his illustrator Takashi Obata wanted to create a manga that highlighted their difficulties and experience they had when working Death Note. And in 2008, they made a rom-com drama series about just that. The series name, Bakuman. Now you're probably wondering, how did he go from a guy with a god complex writing names to kill people to a guy trying to make mangas to impress his horny crush? Well, during the creation of Death Note, both the creator Tsugumi, who is in charge of the story, and his artist Takashi actually never met during the creation of Death Note, only separated by an editor. Tsugumi would write his messy storyboards and manuscript and send it to Takashi, and Takashi had the impossible task to bring the story to life. The trust you have to let someone you never met bring your story to life is like something out of the ordinary. And in a way, Bakuman is a sort of meta reflection of how they worked during the creation of Death Note. Bakuman follows an author and illustrator who are both trying to make it in the manga industry. 2 shows about calligraphy, 2 different messages, and especially 2 different series. But the story isn't done yet because nobody knows who Tsugumi Oba is. And that's kind of the difficulty of making this video because some mangakas are so private that they make pen names. Sometimes we don't know if some authors already wrote different pieces of work. So Tsugumi Oba, a pen name, there are no interviews, no public appearance, no pictures, not even a confirmed name, and it's kind of ironic that he made Death Note. Someone with no name nor face anywhere. There's a theory that Tsugumi Oba is actually someone else. Hiroshi Gamo, the creator of Tottemo Luckyman, a gag superhero manga that ran through the 90s. Because just when Hiroshi Gamo disappeared, Tsugumi Oba appeared out of nowhere. Coincidence? I think not. There's a lot of evidence to support this theory. In Bakuman, the protagonist's uncle died after overworking himself to try to create another successful manga. His previous work, a superhero gag manga. So the theory goes that the uncle is a parallel to what Tsugumi thinks would have happened to him if he had failed to write another successful manga. And in a way, the uncle's death from overwork might have been a sad way to tell us that he could have gone through the same path. Again, this is just a theory, but based on all the other evidence like the similar handwriting, similar storyboards, to downright an executive confirming that they're the same person, if this was true, we might have gotten gotten the craziest lineup of work so far. Tottemo Luckyman, a gag superhero manga, a psychological thriller about gods of death, and a series about trying to make it in the manga industry, which all three might have came out of the same person. But they also make Platinum End, so all their work goes to the trash. But I think it's time to talk about the legendary mangaka, who if he didn't come, we might have never gotten series like One Piece, Bleach, or even Naruto. And of course, I'm talking about Yoshihiro Togashi, the creator of Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. If Dragon Ball built the house, Yu Yu Hakusho helped decorate it. Millions of copies sold, multiple awards won. A successful anime, Yoshihiro Togashi was living every mangaka's dream. But while everything on the outside might have seemed okay, on the inside, Yoshihiro Togashi suffered immensely. The ruthlessness of Weekly Shonen Jump began destroying his physical and mental health from within. Chest pain, chronic back pain. He revealed that he had to draw while lying down just to catch up to the deadlines. And during the making of Yu Yu Hakusho, in order to maintain the weekly serialization, he overworked himself to the point of exhaustion. And the end result, he rushed the ending of Yu Yu Hakusho and created a messy manuscript just to relieve his stress. Imagine giving your passion away because your body couldn't function anymore. And even though Yu Yu Hakusho was beloved, Togashi felt that he was selfish, that he had to choose his health over his work. He even went so far as to apologize to fans that he wasn't strong enough. And that's why 4 years later, Togashi came back with another series called Hunter x Hunter. And this is where his fingerprints become impossible to ignore. The power systems, the tournament arcs, gone to Yusuke. And of course, the similarities exist, but I think people are looking at all the wrong places. Hunter x Hunter wasn't trying to copy Yu Yu Hakusho. I think it was trying to finish it. Everything Togashi wanted to explore that he couldn't because of his health, he could do with Hunter x Hunter. The reason Togashi came back to make another weekly series was that from now on, Togashi was free to do whatever he wanted. Editors were not allowed to decide anything for him, and he is free to take breaks in between writing and drawing. And that's why you see Hunter x Hunter isn't even finished even today. By taking control, he essentially leveraged his power to become a successful mangaka to own Hunter x Hunter himself. No publisher or media can force him to continue. No one can cancel his series. Togashi became unstoppable. He not only saved his life, but also saved his sanity. Hunter x Hunter isn't a better manga because Togashi became a better writer. It's a better manga because Togashi was healthy and happy to do his work. Who knows what would have happened if Togashi was healthy when writing Yu Yu Hakusho. The story in Hunter x Hunter might have happened if only he hadn't pushed himself. But there are lots of examples of creators going from the similar genre onto the next. For example, the author 1 going from One Punch Man to Mob Psycho, Hiro Mashima going from Rave Master to Fairy Tail, and Togashi with Yu Yu Hakusho to Hunter x Hunter. What I want to capture is creators who redefined themselves and took the risks and went after a whole different genre. Similar to how Death Note turned to Bakuman years later, one of my favorite authors to do that was Aka Akasaka, the creator of Love is War and Oshi Noko. When the anime first released for Love is War, everyone knew it was going to be an instant classic. Turning love into psychological warfare was a concept no one knew to be effective, but it was. So when the creator was making another manga and I heard it was going to be Idols, I instantly lit up. I bet it was going to be a rom-com drama about the entertainment industry, about some guy who fell in love with an idol or something like that. But when I watched it for the first time, I immediately was like, this is not Love is War feeling. I'm not getting the Love is War feeling. Is this a rom-com? Is this a comedy? What is this? Aka Akasawa wanted to make a series pulling back the dangers of the entertainment industry. It was going to be focused on all the child abuse that happens in the industry, industries treating people like their products, a complete 180 from what he did with Love is War, and it completely threw me off. Even in the parts of Oshinoko, I was waiting for it to become Love is War. I was waiting for the comedy to kick in, the romance to kick in, because I thought the creator, Aka Akasaka, was gonna give just that, but it never came. Not because he failed to give the same feeling, because I came in expecting the wrong expectation. Don't get me wrong, I still love Oshinoko when I was watching and reading it. I do have opinions on where the story went on a different direction, but that's not me expecting that was Love is War. That was a whole different problem. But as a fan, I kind of felt disappointed that they weren't the same thing. That, you know, my expectations were like leaded in some sort of way. And I know I'm in the wrong here. Like, guys, no need to tell me in the comments below I'm in the wrong here. My bad. I knew this story was going to be different, yet I still waited for some of like her previous work to kick in. That's why sometimes your biggest work might have been your worst enemy. Every creator we talked about today has been competing with none other than themselves. There's a lot of creators that I wanted, talk about more in this video, like Geto, who made Madoka Magica and Fate Zero, and Romiko Takahashi, who made Inuyasha and Ranman. So if you want to see a part 2, show this video some love. Subscribe, like, support some creators like me. I love you guys. Real one, say back.